So look, Matt Trevor,
Hello.
guitarist extraordinaire from the Underclass.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
Thank you very much for joining us. And I said to you the other time, it's a fantastic accent that is. Is it unmistakably that you guys are from Stoke?
Well, a little birdie must have told you that one. Yeah, we are. All five of us are from Stoke. Dotted all over Stoke, really. But yeah, Stokey's through and through.
Great, excellent stuff. And so, for people that have not heard the Underclass, I mean, I've listened to your music and I really like it. It's just down my street. And I'm not just saying that. You know me. I love the '90s indie sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, if anybody's not heard of the Underclass, I know how I would describe the music. How would you describe the Underclass music?
Lots of guitar melodies, lots of guitar driven, and that's the best words we've been described with. Guitar driven. Yeah, we've never really strayed far from guitar music, indie music. So yeah, quite straight down the line with that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair description of it. It's guitar music, indie rock, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And as I said to you the other day, it's the music that you're producing. It's quite mature for young guys. Do you know what I mean? What I mean by that, it sounds like you've been playing for years, and do you know what I mean? Has that been said to you before, or?
Well, we've seen a couple of reviews that say, well, especially our latest singles, very mature for our age, and we're like, I suppose it's a good thing. We'll take that. But we just play what we play. Really, we never really go out to sound older than we are.
Yeah. I don't think it's a matter of sounding older than you are. It's very young. It's very fresh, but there's a very experienced sound behind that, and I would take that as a compliment. Do you know what I mean?
I'll take that. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's not dad rock or anything like that. It's young. It's vibrant, but it's just got that mature sound about it. So. So, what's the band's musical influences, and what are in particular your musical influences and your favourite guitarists?
So I'll go through the bands first. So George, he loves everything British music, DMA's, Blossoms, the Verve, Liam Gallagher, stuff like that. He loves British music. Dylan, he's a bit off the cuff. He likes Johnny Cash and stuff like that. And his latest one's Italian piano music.
Wow.
Aaron's got the weirdest one, which is American pop punk, and he loves Green Day and Don Broco and people like that, and he loves a good mosh pit. Adam goes along with the rest of everyone, and he'll listen to anything and play anything. And myself, I prefer like classic rock.
Wow.
Guns N' Roses, glam rock, anything really.
Glam rock.
Glam rock, bit of glam rock, Darkness, kind of Kiss, anything.
Any sort of like 70s influences, glam rock in there as well at all that you like, or?
Bits and bobs. I like the Eagles, but they're not so much glam rock. They're more country rock kind of stuff like that. They're big influences of mine. Joe Walsh and Don Felder. So, Gary Moore, Thin Lizzy, anything really.
Wow. And what is it you like about those sort of guitarists? Like, I mean, you've mentioned some guitarists who I personally love. I love Joe Walsh, Gary Moore. I mean, he was one hell of a guitarist, wasn't he?
Virtuoso, brilliant, absolutely.
He could do everything, couldn't he?
Yeah. Words can't describe how good he was. And I wish I could have got to have seen him before he died.
I did actually see him twice, actually, funny enough. And yeah, it was one hell of an experience.
Yeah. My dad was lucky enough to see him play. Can't remember where it was now.
it just got it all. You know, he
Yeah,
could play that blues rocks. He could play blues, so he could leave phrase in and space in
and then he
between
could
notes, and then
tear
he
it.
could just absolutely
Yeah,
rip it up.
with
Uh,
2 fingers as well, all
and
3 fingers. That was crazy part about it, because he got what's it called? I forgot what it's called. But yeah, he lost. He didn't use them 2 fingers. I'm pretty sure he just
that's
used them.
right.
Yeah, he was just brilliant.
Yeah. And Joe Walsh, I mean, what is it that you like particularly about Joe Walsh?
Oh, it's just Joe Walsh, and it's just fun guitaring to play. I'm studying like Hell Freezes Over kind of stuff
Hmm.
at university at the minute, and using that as my area of specialism. So yeah, Joe Walsh and Don Felder, that kind of flamenco style, and
Yeah.
Hotel California on Hell Freezes Over. It's just, I don't know, it just sounds fun, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
very good.
Great, great, great music. It's absolutely timeless. And the Underclass have got 4 singles.
4 singles. Yeah,
4 singles.
we got it.
Singles and a B side.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, I remembered.
So we got
We've got Bring It On, the one for you. Yesterday's People, and Getting Old is the B side to
well,
Yesterday's People.
yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah, that's correct. It was intended to be, but when we were young lads, well, say young lads, it just seemed a fun thing to do. Um, we recorded them both at the same time, and with our naivety, we just go stick them both on a CD and sell it. One's a B side. So yeah,
And so who does the writing and we chatted about this before. I think it's on Yesterday's People where there's a bit of like string skipping, which you like Slash from Guns N' Roses, and it reminded me a bit of the string skipping on Sweet Child of Mine.
well, since we spoke about it, I went back and listened to it, and the solo on Yesterday's People is inspired by Slash's guitar playing on. Are you familiar with Fall to Pieces by Velvet Revolver?
I've not heard that one. No.
It's in D major, the same as Sweet Child of Mine, well, without the tuning down, but it's all based around the D cage position
Right.
and around there, and it's very similar guitaring in both songs, and it
Right.
was sort of inspired by that.
So that's where that link comes in then.
Well, yeah, pretty much so.
Yeah, so I wasn't too far off. Well, that's what certainly came across to me anyway when I first heard it. That the Slash influences was
I'll
coming.
take that. I'll take that one. Thank you.
I certainly would. Yeah,
Local hero.
yeah, the Stokey lad himself. So, and so who does the songwriting?
So really, it's either myself or George who comes up with an idea at home on a guitar, or George comes up with lyrics, and we take it to the practice studio, and everyone puts their own influences in on it.
Yeah,
So no one can be unhappy if they've got their own say, can they? So if everyone writes their own parts, they're all happy. But yeah, it usually comes from just having an idea, recording it on a phone, sending it to each other, stuff like that. And it goes a long way, really, because from that idea, we could get a completely different idea that we record and take it on to the next one as well. So yeah, we do it quite differently to the traditional way of just one person writing it. Everyone has their own say on it.
and how have you guys been coming up with ideas and keeping in contact during COVID? I mean, rehearsal studios have been closed by the best part. So have you been keeping in contact and coming up with ideas?
Um, we've been writing bits of music, doing been like preparing little ideas, motifs for an EP, maybe stuff like that, future singles. But we haven't finished off any songs that we're in writing. We haven't cemented anything in place yet. We were in the studio a couple of weeks ago and recorded a single that's coming up. But that's probably the only song that we've got completely finished.
Wow.
Throughout lockdown, we focused more on growing social media and making a website of our own and stuff like that. Just try and get ourselves known in different parts that we haven't been known in before.
I mean, you mentioned earlier on that obviously the music is very guitar driven, and it is. So your guitar is quite sort of central and pivotal to the actual sound of the Underclass. So are songs written with that in mind, that you know that the guitars are going to be quite central, and are you getting kind of, if you like, a little bit more sort of influence on saying how the songs might sound because of the guitar?
I think it really depends on who come up with the idea first. So say it was myself who come up with a riff, like I wrote "Bring It," which is a guitar riff all the way through, really, isn't it? You can tell, and for you is very guitar central. Whereas yesterday's People Getting Old and the one are written by George, even though they're just full of guitar sound, they're not. There's not as many little riffs and little tiddly bits throughout it.
Yeah, wow. And so where have you been recording? You know, these fantastic singles that you've released. Where have they all been recorded?
So the first two, Yesterday's People and its B-side, were recorded in a bloke's garden shed in Leek. That wasn't fun. And then
I hope it was during the summer, so you were at least warm.
I think it was like February or something. I don't know. I can't remember. We released it in the May though, so it must have been early year because we only filmed in the December.
Yeah.
But the next two, For You and Bring It, were recorded in the same session again, at Prism Studios in Hanley with Shawn Lowe. We won a competition for that. We were dead lucky because, again, we were just starting out. We didn't really know much about recording, so we won a competition on Instagram, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we got to go in the studio for 2 days and we learned more about the craft of recording. And then we went back because we joined something called Indie Music Matters, which is a brilliant concept brought up to get young musicians recording music and releasing music. So I think it's government funded or educationally funded. And we got funded to go back to Shawn at Prism Studios to record The One, which is our latest single. And then for the upcoming single, we recorded at a place called Silk Mill in Newcastle under Lyme, which is beautiful. And yeah, it's like a musician's heaven.
Yeah, I certainly enjoy going into recording, that's for sure.
It's good fun.
And I know we can't talk about the sort of like up and coming songs too much, but I know we've chatted sort of privately, and you've mentioned that there's lots of guitar layers when you're recording things. So how do you approach that? What are you looking to try create the individual different tracks, different riffs? How do you approach that?
I think most of the time it's me and Dylan, the rhythm guitarist, who we sit down and work out our parts first, and then any other ideas or motifs that we've got, try and work that into them guitar tracks. And if that doesn't work, then create a completely new guitar track, a completely new layer to add it in, because it sort of creates counterpoints and counter melodies and stuff like that underneath. It makes it more interesting. And like I say, it makes it more mature music rather than just plonking along with chords.
And how does that play out when you play live? Because I mean, if you've got various different, lots of different layers of guitar, and there's two guitarists, so do you change the approach much when you're playing live?
So we haven't played our next single. No one's heard it at all. We've never played it live before. With the one that we released in February, we played that with George on an acoustic, our lead vocalist, and Dylan on an electric, and me on an electric, just playing the little motif. But that worked quite well. It didn't sound as big because we've got no synth player or anything like that, but I don't think we struggle with the guitar layers at all. But the next single, we might have a little issue as to needing more guitars.
Well, I know an aging guitarist that might be up for hire if you ever need one.
Shiny more.
So what gear are you using? And particularly effects pedals, are you using much? I know we've chatted sort of online, and it sounds like that the amp or your guitar is pretty much plugged straight into the amp. I could be completely wrong with that, but so what gear are you using?
So recording wise, it's pretty much straight into the amp. So it's a Les Paul straight into a Fender DeVille 2B12. Got little amounts of pedals. So got this one here, which is a Electro-Harmonix Turnip Green, which is nice overdrive and reverb, which it goes beautifully with nice humbuckers and the clean sounds of the DeVille. But yeah, pretty much for live shows, it's a lot different. It's got a Boss DD, is it 250 or a 500, but for a nice delay sound. But yeah, Marshall Jackhammer pedal for that really heavy sound that, again, I don't think people will have heard on the release music. Bring It's probably the closest to.
Yeah.
Other than that, we've got some heavier stuff to fit in with whatever crowd we're supporting a band in or playing a gig at.
Yeah, wow, incredible. And guitar-wise, what have you got some guitars there to maybe show us, or?
So when we started the Underclass, it was bright yellow Les Paul Junior with the robotic tuner on the back. That was always fun at a gig.
You know what? You can't go wrong with a Les Paul Junior, can you?
No, and through the DeVille as well. It crank the overdrive up on the DeVille on the overdrive channel, and it pairs the P90. Really sounds great.
Yeah.
But since June 2019, I moved over to the Les Paul Standard, which is the Big Daddy, really.
That's nice.
But yeah, this is my go-to guitar recording wise, and depending what show we're on, this goes everywhere, really.
They're heavy, aren't they?
Everyone says they are, but it doesn't really bother me that much. No. But yeah, I can see what people mean compared to a Strat. They're like throwaway, aren't they? They're like a piece of paper.
Well, I call mine over there my Les Paul. That's a 96 Les Paul Studio.
I've got a 95 in black. Is it gold hardware?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a 95 one that's probably heavier than this.
Yeah, I call that the coffee table.
They weigh a ton, don't they?
Because it's like putting a coffee table around your neck.
Something stupid like £9 or something like that. Yeah. My studio is. But yeah, that's the guitar wise. I'm not lugging the DeVille in because that's way too heavy show in front of a camera.
Yeah, they're pretty hefty. So I mean, what's next for the Underclass? Hopefully when lockdown's over and you're all out rehearsing and gigging and what have you, what are the plans?
So we can't say too much music wise, release wise. We've got loads of new music we're writing, we're rehearsing lots now, getting back in rehearsals because we're all in university and college and stuff like that and work, so stuff sort of peaks and troughs and stuff like that, where we have rough patches where we don't see each other for a few weeks and then we'll see each other like 5 times in a week. But we're slowly getting back into rehearsals, writing lots more new music, planning loads more new shows, lots more content for the social media, and some exciting stuff with the powers that be in Stoke-on-Trent.
Well, another thing I know you've got on the way, and which I ordered my copy last Friday, and you done a CD called Bits and Pieces. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So this CD was put together by Mark, who did a British indie artist CD, and he come up with this, and he started Bits and Pieces 1, and that was released in December of last year.
Yeah.
And that got to the charts. I can't remember what position, but it got to the albums charts. And this one come out on Friday.
Yay!
Oh, hey, and hopefully, we'll be getting it into the album charts.
Brilliant.
It features 18 young artists and new artists and indie music from all over, from Wales, from Stoke, from up north. But yeah, there's artists all over the place on the CD, and it's gained so much traction from people. So yeah, go
Well,
out and buy it if you like indie music.
yeah, well, we'll definitely put a link up to that. That's for sure. And when I get my copy, which I think it arrived earlier on, but I was out. I was out at work. So I'll pick that up tomorrow, and we'll put an image of it up
Fantastic.
and your links and everything else. So.
Brilliant, thank you.
One thing I would like to give a mention to, and is the person that who I got to hear about the Underclass, and that's a music enthusiast called Shiner Sam. Now,
Yes.
for those that don't know, Shiner Sam is a music enthusiast, and she's a DJ, and she promotes particularly young music, so music that's not necessarily been in the charts, and up and coming bands like the Underclass. And Shiner Sam has got a prolific following on Twitter, and it was one of Shiner Sam's tweets that I actually saw, that I saw the Underclass and liked the music and everything else. So, I mean, how did you guys get involved with Shiner Sam, and how helpful has she been towards getting you guys exposure?
So I'm not too certain on how we got to know Sam, but I think she heard our music. I'm really not sure though. She played it on Radio Matlock and stuff like that, but she's a massive supporter of bands. She's probably got the most extensive collection of band T-shirts anyone's ever got.
She
But
has, yeah.
I just think Twitter as a whole, and the community of Twitter, everyone helps everyone, and it's just one of them things where I don't think young musicians can go too far wrong
Yeah,
from being around them kind of people that love music.
that's right. Yeah, I'd agree with that. There's particularly for young music and for new bands, Twitter's a great place.
It is. It's brilliant.
And certainly from the band that I'm in, I've seen that there's a huge following of people that like sort of Britpop and indie music from the
Massive.
late 80s and through to the 90s. People from sort of like 18 to 25 are following that sort of music and taking interest in and listening to the bands that you spoke about earlier, like the Verve.
Yeah, it's massive among like our age group, the band's age group. So we range from, I think Dill's 18 and I'm 21 this year. I'm 20 now. So that kind of age group there,
Yeah.
people love that kind of music. There's sort of a casual culture coming back, and
Yeah.
it's great for us, and I think it's great for music as a whole. Really, more guitars.
Oh, absolutely. Let's have more guitars.
It's what we all want, isn't it?
It's what the world needs.
Exactly.
It's not what the world wants, it's what the world needs.
Hey.
And who else has been, have you noticed, that's been kind of helpful in supporting new music?
So I've got a bit of a list. Sorry if I've forgotten anyone. So This Feeling, they're absolutely superb at finding new bands and really helping bands gain exposure. New indie sounds, Purple Macron, Moby Tanner, Old Indie Kid, Paddy Ditchfield, Paul Dean, Happy People Music, and loads of others. But locally, we've got Stoke City, who help us so much with social media. I know they're not music specific because they're a football club, but on social media, it helps no end having someone with so many followers retweet your stuff regularly.
Great stuff. And lastly, before we go, are you a Stoke City fan?
Massive Stoke City fan since I was a little dot.
Excellent. And how are they doing at the minute? Did you...
That's a not so great question. This season's been better, but it could have been better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And what did you think to the Super Euro League that was proposed a couple of weeks ago?
Shawn wants it. It didn't even last 2 days.
Nah.
They just got off with it way too easy. It was like
it seemed to me to be a bit of a circus.
It just shows the true money and greed in football. Like today, I think I saw that Burnley are allowing fans in for the last game of the season. Is it against Liverpool or Man City or a bigger team? And they're letting fans in for free. Whereas Tottenham are letting fans in for 60 quid a ticket. It just weighs up the true love for football versus the love for money in football. And
it's a business, isn't it, football these days? But you know, it's great to see the fans and society rallying against it, really.
It was mad. We couldn't post about music for a solid 3 days because no one would look at it. It was all about Super League, Super League, Super League.
Yeah. Look, Matt, thank you so much for seeing us.
Thank you very much for having me and for listening to the music. We really appreciate it.
I think it's great. I genuinely enjoy it, and you know, I've enjoyed sharing your music and putting it, you know, retweeting it and resharing it and stuff like that. And when lockdown's over and you're gigging, I'll come and see you. That's for sure. I'll be buying a ticket.
Thanks very much.
So thanks very much. And good luck with the music writing. And I hope to see you very soon.
Hopefully so. See you later. Thank you very much.